Hello, welcome back. Welcome back. Good evening. It's Saturday evening. I'm John, I'm an old YouTuber and PC gamer. So now I have charged the camcorder like 50 minutes. All these 5 videos, the X86 video uploading, and I made my Danish video about the war in Ukraine. Is day 108. Yes, I like to read this PDF about this computer, but some of the PDF they're very technical. It's written by computer experts. It's written. It's the writers is someone who have studied computer science on university or engineering. They are computer engineering. They're written by experts, so of course I not understand everything like that. But I defined the X86 and there's more stuff I like to download. Some of all it, but I cannot all this 3D now, MMX, all kind of stuff I read, and I like to download some of that, but that's too many. That's just 20, so I cannot just keep put add more to my list, because I will never get finished. That will take many months. So I'm not adding more right now. I have to continue my list or I never go. I like to go to read about the Intel CPUs. That's what I like to read about. And I like to read about all this, the code names, all about this different kind of generations. But before I do that, I need to understand what is a CPU, how you are making the CPUs. It's like this. I like to read about this MOSFET and stuff, and of course I will not understand everything, but I will understand more than nothing. So I like to read it anyway, even I don't understand it, because this is what I like to do now. Maybe understand it better later. No, when I read everything here and I'm finished reading all this many hundreds PDF, maybe I better next time I will read it. Of course, we can do this next year or in a few years. We just read it again later. So, but not now. Of course, I just read it. We can do that just like next year. I can read not everything, but some I like to read again. Yes, let's just continue, but not here. I have the PDF there. Yes, we got to there, and we are page 23. Then we'll read this next. Assembly language, that's 16 pages, but this one is 70 pages. That's too many. We cannot do that. That will take a whole day to do this. This one is 28. Could maybe do all this 100 pages tomorrow. So I think we'll try to do this today. That's 16 pages. So let's do that. And I forgot to open my door window to get some fresh air, because I've been cooking hot food. I was boiling rice and some fish. I was frying some fish in oil. So, but I forgot to open my doors and windows. But I have a small window open somewhere. I have a small window open in my apartment. Yes, let's continue. Read. I only had to read page by page, because I do this mistake when I'm sleepy. I press the mouse button by mistake. Then the auto reading stops.
AMD decided to take another path towards 64-bit memory addressing, making sure backward compatibility would not suffer. In April 2003, AMD released the first X86 processor with 64-bit general-purpose registers, the Optron, capable of addressing much more than 4 GB of virtual memory using the new X86-64 extension, also known as AMD 64 or X64. The 64-bit extensions to the X86 architecture were enabled only in the newly introduced long mode. Therefore 32-bit and 16-bit applications and operating system scouts simply continue using an AMD 64 processor in protected or other modes, without even the slightest sacrifice of performance. 37, and with full compatibility back to the original instructions of the 16-bit Intel 8086.38. 1314 The market responded positively, adopting the 64-bit AMD processors for both high-performance applications and business or home computers. Seeing the market rejecting the incompatible Titanium processor and Microsoft supporting AMD 64, Intel had to respond and introduced its own X86-64 processor, the Prescott Pentium 4, in July 2004. 39, as ARSALT. The Titanium processor with its IA64 instruction set is rarely used, and X86, through its X86-64 incarnation, is still the dominant CPU architecture in non-embedded computers. X86-64 also introduced the NX bit, which offers some protection against security bugs caused by buffer overruns. As a result of AMD's 64-bit contribution to the X86 lineage and its subsequent acceptance by Intel, the 64-bit RISC architecture ceased to be a threat to the X86 ecosystem and almost disappeared from the workstation market. X86-64 began to be utilized in powerful supercomputers, in its AMD Optron and Intel Xeon incarnations, a market which was previously the natural habitat for 64-bit RISC designs, such as the IBM Power microprocessors or SPARC processors. The great leap towards 64-bit computing and the maintenance of backward compatibility with 32-bit and 16-bit software enabled the x86 architecture to become an extremely flexible platform today, with x86 chips being utilized from small low-power systems, for example, Intel Quark and Intel Atom, to fast gaming desktop computers, for example, Intel Core i7 and AMD FX/Ryzen, and even dominate large supercomputing clusters, effectively leaving only the ARM 32-bit and 64-bit RISC architecture as a competitor in the smartphone and tablet market. Virtualization. Prior to 2005, x86 architecture processors were unable to meet the Popek and Goldberg requirements. Our specification for virtualization created in 1974 by Gerald J. Popek and Robert P. Goldberg. However, both proprietary and open-source x86 virtualization hypervisor products were developed using software-based virtualization. Proprietary systems include Hyper-V, Parallels Workstation, VMware ESX, VMware Workstation, VMware Workstation Player and Windows Virtual PC, while free and open source systems include QEMU, kernel-based virtual machine, VirtualBox, and Zen. The introduction of the AMD V and Intel VTX instruction sets in 2005 allowed x86 processors to meet the Popek and Goldberg virtualization requirements. 40 AES. See also x86 assembly language, x86 instruction listings, CUID, Titanium, x86-64. X86, a competing architecture in the 16 and early 32-bit eras. PowerPC, a competing architecture in the later 32-bit and 64-bit eras. Microarchitecture. List of AMD microprocessors. List of Intel microprocessors. List of Intel CPU microarchitectures. List of VIA microprocessors. List of X86 manufacturers. Input/output base address. Interrupt request. IAPX. Tick-tock model. Virtual legacy wires. Notes. Unlike the microarchitecture and specific electronic and physical implementation used for our specific microprocessor design. B. The grid compass laptop, for instance. C. Including the 8088, 80186, 80188 and 80286 processors. D. Such a system also contained the usual mix of standard 7400 series support components including multiplexers, buffers, and glue logic. E. The actual meaning of IAPX was Intel Advanced Performance Architecture, or sometimes Intel Advanced Processor Architecture. F. Late 1981 to early 1984, approximately. G. The embedded processor market is populated by more than 25 different architectures which, due to the price sensitivity, low power, and hardware simplicity requirements outnumber the X86. H. The NEC V20 and V30 also provided the older 8080 instruction set, allowing PCs equipped with these microprocessors to operate CP/M applications at full speed, i.e., without the need to simulate an 8080 by software. Fabless companies designed the chip and contracted another company to manufacture it, while fact companies would do both the design and the manufacturing themselves. Some companies started as fact manufacturers and later became fabless designers, one such example being AMD. It had a slower FPU, however, which is slightly ironic as Cyrix started out as a designer of fast floating point units for X86 processors. Intel abandoned its X86 naming scheme with the 5P Pentium during 1993, as number scout not be trademarked. However, the term X86 was already established among technicians, compiler writers, etc. L16-bit and 32-bit microprocessors were introduced during 1978 and 1985 respectively. Plans for 64-bit was announced during 1999 and gradually introduced from 2003 and onwards. Some CISC designs, such as the PDP-11, may use 2. That is because integer arithmetic generates carry between subsequent bits, unlike simple bitwise operations.
Yes, we don't have to read all this, but let's just do it. Because the video splits in 6 minutes.
O2 MSRs of particular interest are sysenter_EIP_MSR and sysenter_ESP_MSR introduced on the Pentium register trademark symbol 2 processor, which store the address of the kernel mode system service handler and corresponding kernel stack pointer. Initialized during system startup sysenter_EIP_MSR and sysenter_ESP_MSR are used by the sysenter, Intel, or SYSCALL, AMD, instructions to achieve fast system calls, about 3 times faster than the software interrupt method used previously. P because a segmented address is the sum of a 16-bit segment multiplied by 16 and a 16-bit offset. The maximum address is 1,114,095, 10 FFEF hex, for an addressability of 1,114,096 bytes equals 1 megabyte plus 65,520 bytes. Before the 80,286 X86 CPUs had only 20 physical address lines, address bit signals, so the 21st bit of the address, bit 20, was dropped and addresses past 1 megabyte were mirrors of the low end of the address space, starting from address 0. Since the 80,286, all X86 CPUs have at least 24 physical address lines, and bit 20 of the computed address is brought out onto the address bus in real mode, allowing the CPU to address the full 1,114,096 bytes reachable with an X86 segmented address. On the popular IBM PC platform, switchable hardware to disable the 21st address bit was added to machines with an 80,286 or later so that all programs designed for 8088/8086 based models could run, while newer software could take advantage of the high memory in real mode and the full 16 megabytes or larger address space in protected mode. See a 20 gate. An extra descriptor record at the top of the table is also required, because the table starts at 0 but the minimum descriptor index that can be loaded into a segment register is 1. Their value 0 is reserved to represent a segment register that points to no segment. References.
Yes, we not read this, so that was read it. I have to read it again later in the future. This one will be hard to understand because it's made by computer experts, but actually we can just close it. And next one is the X86 assembly language. That's 16 pages, so I can just underline that. Let's do it. So, but now it's 7:30 p.m. So, but let's do one more, of course, of just charging the camcorder. I've just been charging the camcorder 50 minutes. I think we have power enough for like 1 hour. Yes.